Have you ever noticed how some people seem completely unaffected by criticism? They don't constantly seek approval. They don't obsess over what others think. And they don't need validation to feel good about themselves. Meanwhile, most people spend years chasing acceptance without even realizing it. A compliment can make their day, while a single criticism can ruin it. So what's the difference? Why do confident people need less validation than everyone else? The answer lies in how they see themselves. Validation isn't inherently bad. Every human wants to feel accepted and appreciated. That's completely normal. The problem begins when our self-worth becomes dependent on other people's opinions. When that happens, we slowly hand over control of our happiness to others. Often without even realizing it, we feel good when we're praised, and we feel worthless when we're criticized. A compliment can lift our mood, while a single negative comment can stay in our minds for hours, or even days. Over time, this creates insecurity, anxiety, and a constant need for approval. We begin measuring our value based on how other people respond to us, instead of how we see ourselves. Understanding why this happens is the first step toward building real confidence. They don't rely entirely on external approval to feel valuable. Their sense of worth comes from their principles, their efforts, and their character, rather than constantly seeking reassurance from others. Many people unknowingly allow other people's opinions to determine how they feel about themselves. A compliment can make them feel important, while a single criticism can ruin their entire day. This creates an emotional roller coaster, where their confidence is constantly controlled by external circumstances. Confident people operate differently. They understand that other people's opinions are often influenced by personal preferences, emotions, and biases. Because of this, they don't treat every opinion as a measure of their value. They understand that someone's opinion can be useful, but it doesn't define who they are. Confident people understand that pleasing everyone is impossible. They realize that every successful, respected, or admired person is criticized by someone. Because of this, they don't waste their energy trying to win everyone's approval. One of the biggest traps people fall into is believing that if they avoid making mistakes, everyone will like them. But real life doesn't work that way. Every person has different preferences, different expectations, and different opinions. Think about famous athletes or public figures. No matter how talented or successful they become, they still face criticism every day. The criticism doesn't disappear when success arrives. In many cases, it becomes even louder. The same principle applies to you. You could be kind, honest, and respectful, and there will still be someone who simply doesn't like you. That's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's simply part of being human. Confident people understand this reality. Instead of asking, "How can I make everyone like me?" they ask, "Am I acting according to my values?" That shift in mindset changes everything. Because the goal is no longer approval. The goal is integrity. If everyone won't like you anyway, making your life about approval becomes a losing game. The moment you stop chasing universal acceptance is often the moment you start experiencing genuine confidence and genuine freedom. Confident people focus on growth rather than approval. One of the biggest differences between confident and insecure people is where they place their attention. Many people spend their lives worrying about how they are being perceived. They constantly wonder whether others approve of them, whether they look successful enough, or whether they are meeting everyone's expectations. Confident people think differently. They understand that confidence isn't built by collecting compliments. It's built by keeping promises to yourself and making progress over time. Because they have a clear sense of direction. They don't allow every opinion to distract them. They know what matters to them, what they are working toward, and why they are doing it. Their focus remains on growth, rather than constantly seeking reassurance from others. Imagine someone learning a new skill, whether it's public speaking, going to the gym, or starting a business. In the beginning, they will make mistakes. They may look inexperienced, awkward, or even fail several times. A person who depends on validation may quit because they are afraid of being judged. But a confident person sees those mistakes as part of the learning process. They understand something important. Every expert was once a beginner. Growth requires discomfort, and improvement often comes before confidence. Most people believe confidence comes first, and then they take action. But in reality, action comes first. Then confidence follows. That's why confident people ask themselves a different question. Instead of asking, "Do people like me?" they ask, "Am I becoming better than I was yesterday?" When your focus shifts from approval to progress, confidence becomes a natural result, rather than something you constantly chase. Confident people accept themselves, including their flaws. This doesn't mean they believe they are perfect. In fact, truly confident people are often very aware of their weaknesses. The difference is that they don't allow those weaknesses to define their entire identity. Many people make a mistake when judging themselves. They fail at something once and immediately label themselves a failure. They make a mistake and begin questioning their worth. Over time, this creates a cycle of self-criticism that slowly destroys confidence. Confident people understand that making mistakes is part of being human. They know that every person has flaws, insecurities, and areas they need to improve. Instead of fighting reality, they accept it. Imagine a person who struggles with public speaking. An insecure person might think, "I'm terrible at this." A confident person might think, "I'm not good at this yet, but I can improve." That small difference in thinking changes everything. One mindset turns a mistake into an identity. The other turns a mistake into a lesson. When you accept yourself as a work in progress, you no longer need constant validation from others to feel worthy, because your value is no longer based on being perfect. It's based on knowing that growth is possible. The truth is that confidence isn't about thinking you're better than everyone else. It's about no longer needing everyone else's permission to feel good about yourself. Validation can feel rewarding, but when it becomes a necessity, it keeps you trapped. The most confident people still appreciate compliments, but they don't depend on them. Their confidence comes from knowing who they are, what they value, and continuing to grow regardless of what others think. Because true confidence isn't built on approval. It's built on self-respect. And that may be the most powerful form of confidence anyone can develop.